Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. It is Monday and we have a surprise High Elf summon pool. Not so much of a surprise because obviously the big prize here is Fyna, the Blade of Ravia. And we're going to actually jump on the test server in today's video where we've access to her and we'll have a little look and see what she can do. So yeah, it's 25 per summon here, 6% chance for legendary, 94% epic. In terms of the epics, I mean, I would be mostly hoping for that Elisania. That's what I'm really missing for the Lady Mikage fusion. You actually have, I think, some pretty good epics in the High Elves. Skiramis is great. Elisania is decent. Neldor is fantastic for Fire Knight Hard. Royal Guard, of course, is great for everyone. Vergis can be really helpful for soloing the Scarab boss, right? Tayrell's a good champ to have. Old, but decent. And Dahlia, I think, is also part of the fusion. You got a decent selection of epics. For the legendaries, the other ones, Tatora, he's, again, very solid, useful for Cursed City. Block debuffs increase defense on a 3-turn. AoE with Perfect Veil, the decrease accuracy A1. His A1's actually great because it's a 100% chance for decrease accuracy. You can keep that on the whole time, can help you build resistance teams, which is cool against single target bosses. Lyssandra's the Queen of Speed, still great for Dark Fae. And Elenarl kind of fell off of hard mode dungeons, but she does have that irresistible HP burn on her A1. I use her for the Phantom Shogun, right? She can place the burn without needing any accuracy, makes it super easy to gear. She also has AoE poisons and poison explosion. They're decent legendaries. They're all fine to have. But I probably wouldn't be rushing out to get any of them. They're all like, oh, I got that champ. That's cool. Okay, great. Like, yeah, I'll use Lysandra for Dark Fae. Yeah, I'll use Eleanor for Shogun. But I think Fyna would be the big draw here. So let's jump on the test server. Let's see if she's actually any good. All right, so we're on the test server. Let's quickly break down her kit so you know what's going on. Of course, she's Faction Unity, which means she's got a faction boosted aura. 20% speed in all battles. That's just nice in general. It's not the best, but it's a little bit better than average. And in my opinion, speed in all battles the best aura, just in general. It also gives you 15% crit rate for High Elves. This one is really awkward to build around, honestly. Like, with this one, you kind of want to be building a very, very specific team. Like, if you bring her into live arena and you're using a High Elf nuker and she gets banned, right? Or you end up not using her aura, like, you can't be missing that crit rate on that nuker. So you really have to be building your damage expecting to be using this. Or alternatively, it's a nice perk for your more support heroes that don't have full crit rate anyway. But a crit rate aura is a challenge, I think. Her A1 is pretty cool, so it can increase the cooldown of one of their skills. That's nice. It also will bring an ally attack in when she counterattacks. Okay, and that will tie in because she can make herself counterattack with her A2. Yeah, you get a little of her ally attack boost. Her A2 is very interesting. 3-turn cooldown, block debuffs, block damage, and counterattack on an ally for 2 turns. And if the target is not this champion, reset their skills. This has massive potential outside of the whole we're trying to play our faction unity with High Elves. This is just an amazing move, right? Super protection and counterattack, reset their skills. Bam. Amazing. That's actually, it's nuts, right? This move is nuts. We're going to test this out in a couple of different ways. Then number 3, we've got Exalted Lineage here. Increase attack, crit rate, and crit damage for your whole team on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. And this is our first faction unity move. So just by itself, you're getting a lot of offensive buffs. Again, you've got this challenge in terms of the crit rate and building your team. I mean, in theory, you can build your champions missing 45% crit rate and use this buff to make up for it, which is interesting, though risky. We will try it. We'll try it and we'll see. With one faction ally, gives her an extra turn, and that's kind of massive. You can boost up these things, and then you can slap these. You can give 6 buffs to a specific ally just with this if you want to, which is kind of insane. 2 faction allies, full cleanse. That's great. That's really strong as well. With 3 faction allies, it cannot be removed. That's nice. I think that's not too important. That's not a big deal. But the extra turn is particularly good. The full cleanse is then also really good utility as well. And then lead from the front. This passive, whenever a buff is placed on an ally, fill their turn meter by 3%. This is incredibly good. So you get 3 buffs here, so it's a 9% turn meter boost for everyone. But this also works for everything on your team, right? If we put her in with, let's say, a Sifi, that Sifi is going to be filling everyone's turn meter even more, etc., etc. It just stacks up. One faction ally, 25% more damage when attacking out of active turns. That works with ally attack and counter attack. It's kind of nice with her A1, right? The two faction ally is insanely good. Whenever a buff is removed or stolen, or when it expires, 10% turn meter fill. If we put her in a team with a lot of buffs, you're getting a nice chunk of turn meter when the buffs first go on. You get an absolutely massive chunk of turn meter when buffs expire. Let's say you've got 5 buffs and they fall off. 50% turn meter boost, which is ridiculous. Then the 3 faction ally thing as well. 5% defense ignore for every buff on them. Again, that is ridiculous. That is insanely strong. Yeah, so it's massive. This passive is massive. So you don't need the 3 faction allies, I think, with her A3, but you get a huge benefit from 3 faction allies with this. That's a massive amount of ignore defense, right? Just from her, she can give 6 buffs to an ally. She can give someone 30% defense ignore. Just like that. She can say, you have 30% ignore defense. Go have fun. Which is, I think it's kind of crazy good. Honestly, it really is. For her masteries, I built her. We're going to throw into some Hydra first, because Arena actually is not working on the test server right now. Trying to get that fixed up. So we'll delay the video a bit if needs be. Hopefully I can get it out today. War Master, right, with her counter-attacking for Hydra. And we come to her build, and I think you've got a lot of different ways to build her. I think 9-piece protection is ideal. Tragically, I don't have that in High Elves. I've got 8. We're missing 1. Why is it such a big deal? Allies deal 5% more damage for each buff placed by the wearer. Which means, again, she can give you 6 buffs. So she can, with a 9-piece protection set, give you 30% bonus damage and 30% ignore defense. Which is, honestly, that's terrifying, isn't it? It's kind of disgusting. So, yeah, I think that's really, really good. Alternatively, you could obviously reflex, give her a cooldown reduction. Just make her fast with speed. With accuracy, she can do a bit of lockout. That could be nice for Arena. You could build her in Stone Skin, make sure she gets the cleanse off. There's a lot of different options, I think, for how to build this champion. I think she's one of the more fun champions, honestly. There's a ton of different ways and teams you can run her, which I think is pretty cool. We put her in lots of protection, and sort of specifically, we've got her very fast, and we got her with high resistance as well. The reason being, I want to try her out as a mischief tank in Hydra, right? What if we don't use this to reset one of our allies? What if we put this on her? Because with that counter attack, she gets to do ally attack. She can layer a ton of buffs on herself with a blood shield, which I've got here. She's giving herself a tiny shield every time she counter attacks, so she can mischief tank. And yeah, basically be our mischief tank. That's also turn meter boosting our team, upping their damage. Yeah, let's give it a go. So let's dive first of all into Hydra, and let's jump into Nightmare difficulty of Hydra. And I threw together a team. This is, I think, our biggest problem right now. There aren't a ton of really good High Elves to put with her. Like, this was sort of the best I could do for Nightmare Hydra, and it's not great. It's not great. So we've got her. That's nice. We're getting the speed aura. Cool. We've got an Ugo. Ugo is coming in for decreased defense and block buffs and some healing and cleansing. Okay, because we really would like those. We've got Krisk to be our speed manipulator, because we don't have much in the High Elves. We've got Lysandra. Really not designed, Lysandra, for Hydra. I mean, we could do some weird stuff, but it's awkward. Krisk is the increased speed and provoke. He's got buff extension and decreased speed. Will work well if she brings him into ally attack, so that's cool. And he will mischief tank as well. We've got sort of double mischief tank, and we'll see how her passive works with boosting and the buffs from Krisk and all of that. I think Tatora is pretty decent with her when it comes to Hydra, right? Couple of buffs here, increased defense, block debuffs, nice. She doesn't have either of those. Also brings perfect veil, which is great as well. So that's, I think, a nice little combo, and we can extend the perfect veil with Krisk, and that will protect us from torment. And then we're trying to get the 3 extra High Elves. Yannicka, who's just there for damage. She also brings us Leech, which can help us heal, I suppose, but she's just in there for damage. And with Yannicka, I do have her 88% crit rate, so with the aura, she's going to have 100%. We've built her with okay attack. Her attack's a bit low, to be fair. We've built it as best we can. I've got no blessing or anything like that, sadly. Reason being, she takes an extra turn. I think she's going to outrun the increased crit rate buff, so it's not super viable. We've got Royal Guard. He's coming in. He does have the 100% crit rate, but we could lower this down if we wanted. And then we've got Tatura. I think his crit rate's a little bit lower. Yeah, we've got him at the 55%. Gets 15% from the aura, brings him to 70, 30% from her buff, brings him to 100%. So yeah, he'll actually do hopefully some fairly decent damage. And I throw it in on auto and let's go. Now, couple of interesting things here. Again, we look at the Royal Guard. Royal Guard's going to help us with the decreased speed. That's good because we're a little bit inconsistent with decreased speed with Chris. Look at this turn meter boosting, and on auto, she's put her buffs on herself. She now has 6 buffs. Actually, there's no Head of Mischief here right now. That's a little tragic, but that's okay. We got some big hits right here. You can see Yannicka. She's doing some okay damage, nothing crazy. We get the hit from her. It's doing okay damage. She's going in with the counter attack. She'll bring in an ally attack now as well, which is nice. And it's a fairly substantial hit from the A1 from Royal Guard. So we can see the damage she's popping out. Look at that. Look at the turn meter boosting. Look at that. Let's watch it when she comes back to another turn. So she's just ripped through her turns and she's popped her moves again, which is pretty fun. Here we go in. We've got another ally attack, bringing them in. Again, everyone's going to be hitting a lot harder than they usually would because of the ignored defense. Royal Guard, unfortunately, taps out his damage already with his big move. So that's a little bit unfortunate, I think. He's going to be maxing out his damage anyway. It's not that much of a benefit. Let's see when any of these buffs start to expire, the turn meter boost that we're going to get on our team. Look at that. So Ugo and Krisk, look at the boost turn meter. They're both filling up. Her turn meter just filled up to like half as well. Here we go. We get a counterattack with her. Look at the turn meter boosting. She's actually put the thing on Krisk now. So this is something I found interesting from the testing. I don't know why she does it, but she doesn't always do her A2 on herself. I think what it is if her buff goes a little bit longer, you see she still has the 1 turn of counterattack. I think that might be what it is. If she has sort of outrun, if she's got her sort of extra buffs out, if she gets some cooldown reduction or anything, if she already has the counterattack on herself, she'll then do it on a different person, which is kind of weird. Royal Guard just died. Unfortunate. Oh, we got the block reflect damage up. That's unlucky. So this team wipes. This is a problem with this team. I did test this once, and we got up to like 100 million. 100 million, which is quite solid on Nightmare Hydra for some weird champions. But the problem is we don't have... It's just really difficult to get everything in this team and still get her faction bonus. Really hard, okay? Because, we could bring in a Reviver. We could bring in Arbiter for more turn meter. That would give us a revive, but we're already getting the increase attack from her. Seems like a bit of a waste. Again, you can see the turn meter boost is just kind of nuts. That's the biggest thing I found from testing this, by the way. The turn meter boost is actually kind of insane. Krisk, by the way, is in Curse set. That's giving us Hex. It's tough to build this to be a really good team. That's the biggest problem I found. It's tough. It's tough to get the 3 faction unity. That will completely change, though. Completely change in the future. If they add better high elves in, like it will change depending on the quality of your high elves. Like, there's Bellinor. I don't have a Bellinor. He would help. That gives you decreased defense and weaken and good damage. So that could be pretty cool. Yeah, like Skaramis is a decent option to bring in. He brings you sort of like a budget Krisk. But yeah, the more good high elves they add in, the better you're going to be. Honestly, the biggest problem I found for the high elves at the moment is that there aren't that many good Hydra damage dealers. We've got Royal Guard, but he doesn't really need increased attack. He doesn't really need ignore defense. It's quite easy to get him to cap out his damage. So you do have a bit of a counter synergy. Or, yeah, not counter synergy, but you don't have a very strong synergy. That's a better way to put it. We don't have an extremely strong synergy in the faction when it comes to Hydra. You need so many things on your team. It's a bit difficult to do. You can see like Yannicka being boosted up like this is doing okay damage. She's doing fine, but she's not doing super crazy. Yeah, it's just a little bit awkward. Like an Ethos could be, again, decent, but it's a little bit awkward. Here we go. We should get a counter attack, which is going to bring in an ally attack. In this case, it's a Krisk. Her value is difficult to measure. Let me point that out. It's difficult to measure because it's sort of subtle. It's in the hidden ignore defense boosts. It is in the nice, some decent hits right there. Cool. It's in the turn meter boosting, and that's not always obvious from this. But let this one run out. We'll see where we end up. Can we get decently far? Like, we're hitting almost 200k there from a Royal Guard A1 with no decreased defense. Her A1, as you can see, her damage is really, we've not built her for damage, but it's not super high. Let's see this now. We've got decreased defense out. We get almost 300k from a Tatora and not crazy damage. 300k from her AoE. Again, the Royal Guard damage is sort of capped out anyway. But yeah, we're making our way through. Here we go. Brings in another ally attack. We've got the Hex out now. That's nice. So yeah, we can also look at, we've got lots of poisons out there. You can see the turn meter boost. Look at all the boost turn meter. That's a great showcase. You know, cleanses off all that stuff. Just boost turn meter all over our team. And this is more like the initial run I had. The wipe we had wasn't common, but you can see we're, you know, look at that. This time she's, for whatever reason, on full auto, she's put block damage on Yannicka. So she's reset the Yannicka. Why has she done that? I don't know. Would you do that? No, definitely not. Definitely not. So I don't know why she's done that, but she has. So we just got to live with it. But yeah, like we're honestly, from the testing I did, the problem is a reflect damage goes up on someone and one of our damage dies, we're in trouble. That's the biggest problem. But you know, you're not far off a million damage per turn. And I say the only like real top tier champion we've got in here is Krisk. Like, we're running a Yannicka and a Tatora Rhymehide for flip's sake. You know, we're not running exactly a very good team, but with her and all the boosting she's giving us, it's actually working pretty well, and that's cool. Let me run this one out, and we'll be back with the final results. Oh, guys, I actually want to jump back in. Okay, yeah, we'll probably jump in a couple of times as we spot interesting things. One interesting thing that's well worth noting here is again, we've actually got a really nice synergy. Okay, right there, actually, because we're running protection set, our mischief tanking broke down. Somebody else got targeted. I think she threw block damage on someone random, honestly. But it's again, because of protection set, mischief, yes, he gets a lot of turn meter, but he wasn't actually able to get any of our buffs, so we are quite safe. And like, we still are keeping our buffs on, which is really cool. Again, that becomes more or stronger with the sets as you go. This is a bit of a problem with her, I have found. When she counterattacks, right, and gets feared herself, that can be really rough because her moves are so good. Like right there, I mean, as you saw, her turn meter is basically full, but her moves go on cooldown. That's actually quite rough. So that does hurt you. The benefit, if she doesn't get hit by Torment and doesn't counterattack and get feared, she cleanses, right? Because she's cleansing, we now have her really fast cleansing us all the time on a really short cooldown. We've got Ugo with a backup cleanse. So yeah, between the perfect veil here and the cleanses, like, it's really like almost no threat from that fear head. It just works smoothly. A big chunk of it is that immeasurable. It's the turn meter boost as well. It's just how much turn meter we're constantly getting from all this stuff. Boosting turn meter, boosting turn meter. You know, again, that's hard to measure, but getting so many turns relative to the Hydra head, it adds up. It's weird. So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to point that out. She does have some nice synergies. There, she's reset Royal Guard. Actually, that's pretty decent. That's not a bad thing to do. We'll take that. And again, we're getting lots of nice... Look at that turn meter on Yannicka after she took that turn. She got almost full turn meter. Look at Royal Guard. He's going to shoot up with tons of turn meter as well. It's, yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, Right, let's leave it running. We're actually almost up to the 1 million damage per turn now. Hilarious. All right, guys, here we go. Here we go. About 80 turns in, 80 million damage, and it fell apart. We had all the heads respawn at once, and the moves just weren't quite ready. And they got up the poison cloud, and then we got like devoured, and someone got killed. So quite an unlucky sort of line of events there. But still, again, I think this is hilarious because, to reiterate, apart from Krisk, like, Royal Guard is decent, but, you know, it's a pretty crappy team. Honestly, like, Yannicka is just not that good, right? Ugo's great. Tatora, again, he's just not particularly good for Hydra, but we're sort of slamming through, and we're doing a respectable chunk of damage. So this is the thing with her. To maximize her value in Hydra, you really, really want High Elves, really for that turn meter boost. And that ignore defense is so big as well. She just struggles to have good teammates, though. But if you get better High Elves, if more better High Elves come in the future, she has a ton of potential here with a sort of fairly standard High Elfie type team. Like, she really does. It's quite cool. Again, this is on Nightmare. And yeah, I we're doing 1 million damage per turn with a freaking Yannicka Tatora. Like, that's solid. So interest, like, honestly, maybe instead of that Yannicka, we just run multiple Royal Guards. It's probably the thing to do, actually, looking at it right there, and we just use her turn meter boost, you know. So it's interesting. It is interesting. Like, who else do we put in there? Lanathril could work with the ally attack. Maybe you do just bring the Arbiter with the revive, but, you know, Ethos is okay. Islan is good, actually. He's like a backup Krisk, right? He can protect you. He's got the decreased speed. He can heal your team. He's like a mini Krisk. So he's got options. I think, obviously, Royal Guard is great. Skaramis is real good, too. He brings the provoke. He brings decreased attack. He has counter attack on himself, too. So you do have options there. For sure. For sure, for sure. Okay, I just want to jump into Hard Hydra to test out something specifically, which is perhaps even more impactful. Like, okay, we've got all this faction ally stuff, but let's not forget, we can fully reset the cooldown of a target's skills with her A2. So let's try that out. For instance, I don't have a Trunda, but you could use her to reset a Trunda. I want to try her out with a Yumiko. Now, unfortunately, Yumiko's missing some gear, but that's okay. We'll just do whatever. We just want to see if this works conceptually. So actually, hang on. Let's free regroup here because she's going to reset. Hang on. This is totally what we can do. So if we come in like this, let's say she is the fastest. So she boosts up. Let's, again, put her buffs on herself to Mischief Tank. Reset all of those. Ugo can decrease. We put on this. I guess we put this on first. I don't know. Royal Guard can slam. That would be important. We can provoke. So this skill's cooldown. Okay, this skill's cooldown cannot be decreased. Okay, that's fine. Well, she'll get an extra turn here. She'll get back to it pretty quick. So we can't reset her A2 with Yumiko. Let's see. Let's see what happens here now. So, again, just smack something. It doesn't really matter what we're doing. You can do this smack. Royal Guard, put out some decreased speeds. And what if she does this to Yumiko? Yeah, so with Yumiko, we can then reset everyone else. That's a nice little combo. So you do have some potential right there. Now, the advantage with double Yumiko, of course, is that they can reset each other, right? Because Yumiko's move can be reset because, reasons. Really shouldn't be, but it is. But because she's getting this extra turn and she's got this full reset, you can absolutely do some manual play shenanigans. Like Royal Guardy's back to a takedown. Yumiko's got a while to... Well, actually, she doesn't have that long to wait. I mean, let's go in here again. You can imagine the impact of this if you've got a Trenda team. She's like Nia, but better because she's got potentially has an extra turn built in. If you don't bring her with High Elves, which, let's be fair, you probably wouldn't. Like, she can come in and, reset Yumiko again, right? Yumiko's going to counterattack. Yeah, like Yumiko can be reset again. I think it's really dumb, by the way. It's one of my favorite things. It's the comments that are like, you only say this because you've got that champion. You would never say nerf Yumiko because you've got a Yumiko. I'm like, bro, I think you should nerf both Trunda and Yumiko. I've got Yumiko. It's obviously stupid. It obviously should be fixed. Yeah, you only want to nerf things that you don't have. Like, no, I'm giving you the reasons why they should be nerfed. But obviously, this is broken. Yeah, so this is potentially very, very strong. Extremely strong. Like, just provoke again. Try get some decreased speeds out. This is a big combo. Needless to say, you can just keep resetting your resetter. I think it works for Does it work for Kaimar? I don't think it works for Kaimar. I think it works for Yumiko. Obviously, this would work on a Trunda, especially as well. With a Trunda, you can be giving the Trunda increased crit rate, increased crit damage, increased attack. You can keep resetting the Trunda skills with the A2. So you could build, I think, a very strong Trunda team here as well. Okay, that's interesting. So yeah, you absolutely have some massive exploit potential with this. The full reset, you can reset Yumiko. That's strong. Obviously, you probably prefer second Yumiko, but she's bringing you a lot of buffs as well. That is very interesting. So that, another big thing. Let's try her out in some arena. The arena has been reset, so we can actually jump in. Let's try her in like a full high elf team. And again, this is a bit of a problem. Let's see. I had it somewhere. Hang on. Let me find out where I put it. Well, actually, let's just build it, right? So here we go. Full high elf team. Can we do it in arena? So we bring her in. We get the speed aura. We get the crit rate aura. Now here's the thing. Like, Arbiter is probably the perfect high elf to put in here. She's probably the best high elf for arena out of all of these. But you really overlap roles. You've got the speed aura. You've got the increased attack. Arbiter brings us more turn meter and a revive. But we'd be losing out on the aura. Is that something we want to do? I'm not sure. Let's bring in a Lysandra as well. And this is, again, where it's a bit awkward, where Lysandra brings an even better aura. So maybe that's not something we want to do. I guess we'll bring in... I need to see if I've got... Gear on Supreme Elhain would probably be the ideal nuker. Okay, we need to put some gear on Supreme Elhain. I will do that. Maybe we just bring in the Arbiter? Because there's not all that much else. And we could bring in another damage with Yannicka. Double DPS? And just not have a revive. Without a lockout, that's a problem, I think. Yeah, without a lockout, that's a problem. I mean, I guess we could try. I'm not sure. Okay, Arbiter was actually missing loads of gear. Let's go in like this. Super tanky team. I mean, let's see if we can make an impact. I'm not sure. But again, this is a problem in arena. If you have Star Sage Galathier, the mythical, then yeah, you're looking crazy. That's a real strong combo. But if you don't, it's not so good. So we'll like boost up some turn meter here. Yeah, so we can buff up. It's boosting everyone. And I think, we probably just want to protect Supreme Elhain, right? Let's buff up Supreme Elhain. Give her a counterattack. That seems the way to go, I think. We can... Let's buff up with this first. We're actually going to have a problem. Let's have her go in with her AoE nuke. I mean, that hits pretty hard. They all had reaction, which is slightly tragic. Let's deplete her turn meter. Unfortunately, now we're going to have to sit through this nonsense. Oh, we just got one shot on her, and we're all going to get killed. Like, this is... How do we build... I'm honestly... I don't see how we build a good arena team with this. Like, there's just not enough... Unless you've got Star Sage Galathier, there are not... How do you build a 4-man team of High Elves for arena and not have it be a massive meme? Like, now she's dead. Now we don't have the increased attack for Supreme Elhain. So... I think we just flop here. Like, we've got no lockout. Yeah, we've got nothing, right? We've got nothing. We're just dead. I don't see how we make that work. That to me just seems sort of impossible. Like, for high-end arena, like, how can we compete with a team like this with high elves? So for high-end arena, it seems kind of weak in terms of the faction unity. Well, let's try her with like a more normal team. Like, we can use her just for a speed aura and say, screw the high elves. Let's bring in like a Sifi. What else could we want here? Let me see. We could bring in, I mean, Wukong would be a good one to throw in as well. We could totally run Wukong. She's going to boost him up. We could run a Yumiko. We could run Ultimate Death Knight. We can do a whole lot of stuff. Like, we can keep resetting the Sifi cooldowns, which is kind of nuts. You know? Like, we can bring her in, Speed Aura. So we bring her in with Sifi. We could bring in, like, an Ancora as well if we wanted. Bring in Ancora, and we could bring in Narcies. You know? Like, we can bring in kind of anything. Imagine a sort of live arena setup. Where's my Narcies? There he is. I think I've actually stolen gear off the Sifi. I did. Let's give Sifi the speed boots back. Hang on a sec. Need to switch these boots. I stole Sifi's boots for this showcase. Need to put them back on. So, swap those over. Yep. And then we need to give Fyna some boots. And then hopefully everyone else has gear on and we can see like a more normal type thing. But again, the idea here would be that she's just going to come in and potentially buff us up with protection. Right, we'll steal that. Actually, the accuracy is going to be fine if we want to use that. We want to use her A1. Right, let's go in like this. So we've got a decent speed aura. We're not going to get the extra turns. We're not going to get that sort of stuff, but that could be okay. Right, so let's see it here. Turn 1. So here we go. Turn 1. So we'll boost up here. Everyone gets even more turn meter from Sifi because of this passive. Again, the only thing our passive is doing now is turn meter when buffs are placed on. We're losing, I think, in particular, this boost. We don't have the ignore defense. This move, it's not going to cleanse. It's not giving us an extra turn, but it's giving us a whole lot more damage. I think let's boost up with a whole lot more damage, which again is boosting our turn meter more. Boost up with more shields. Now we've got like a heaven cast on this guy, and he can come in. And okay, again, it didn't do actually crazy damage. It's been reduced here. It's a tanky team, but still gives us a bit of a concept. He's going to do this. So we still have to do this annoying thing. But we can come in and we could say, okay, let's reset him. And he's actually going to... Oh, he can't... Sorry. We have too many buffs. We have so many buffs. We could not get counterattack on. That's actually quite funny. We weren't able to get counterattack on him. Too many buffs. But he can come in now. He's been reset. And yeah, we can try lock her out. She resisted. But still, that's an interesting little tactic we could use. Okay, we can kill her. Oh, no, we can try to kill her, not do enough damage. And we can boost up, buffing our turn meter even more. Maybe Sifi will kill her. That's nice. We can cleanse up and boost up more. And it's a pretty interesting speed team. And again, we could go, oh, Sifi's in danger. Let's reset Sifi and give Sifi 2 turns of block damage, which is kind of nice. Or again, I can just come in here and be like, yeah, you know what? Actually, let's do that. Let's supercharge Narcies. Let's go in, reset his cooldowns again. Especially if we don't have Ancora. Be kind of interesting. So I think she has a lot more potential like this as a non-faction unity champion, weirdly enough. Just coming in as more so bringing her A2. And she also brings you, if you're running attack-based damage, she lets you do that. So for instance, let's come in here. Yeah, well, let's maybe not fight them. They're too fast. Let's see against maybe this team would be good. Tyraku. It might be too quick for us as well. But let's say we're bringing in, hopefully she's got gear on, Aranda. Let's see. An attack-based nuker. Let's say Rhonda would be fine here. Does she have gear on? No, she's missing some gear. Okay. Okay, so we got some gear on the... Oh, Rhonda's gone. Hang on. Let's put her in like this. So let's put in Ultimate Death Knight. Obviously, we'd be running Ultimate Death Knight against Erotus. Not exactly a live arena showcase because they both have, that. But again, you could run her in like this sort of team. So she's bringing you a speed aura. That's great. She brings you the increased attack as well. There's not a ton of really good, I think, live arena champions or arena champions that bring you increased attack. Like you might have your Arbiter, but she comes in as, again, being a pretty good way to boost us up here. Unfortunately, she's been absolutely murdered. That's fine, though, because what we could do is revive her up. That's fine. Then she can come in and she could, protect the Sifi, reset the Sifi. That's kind of fun. And then Sifi could revive. Now, we might not actually want to do that. Let's have Sifi reapply these buffs. Wow, she hits real hard, huh? So we probably want to build her in a different sort of build here. Like you would probably build her, you would probably build her differently. We really need to, oh God, don't kill, oh my God, kill us again. He's got a lot of speed on this champion. We're going to probably just lose to the, let's find a different team. Let's not sit around here wasting our time. Not really built this team in detail. We just want to get a bit of a rough vibe for it. I'm trying to run a speed team and everything is like obnoxiously fast. I mean, this is a bad team. Here we go. This team's too weak. But just to give you an idea, like again, she comes in as somewhat like an Arbiter, somewhat like a Shuzan. Not as good, I'd say, as certainly nowhere near as good as Shuzan, but she's giving you the increased attack on your champ, which is cool. And then we can come in and we can slam with them. We're getting some of that extra turn meter, which is nice. And yeah, it's not the strongest thing in the world, but it's pretty interesting. Oh my God, wait, I shouldn't have done that. Now I can't block her passive. Oh well. And now, like, we can reset the Rhonda, which is cool. And she's protected, which is, again, I think quite nice, right? Rhonda's got block damage for 2 turns. She can come in with her AoE nuke again. That's quite cool, having an increased attack champion that can reset the cooldowns of your nuker, can keep your nuker alive. It's, like I said, it's sort of a blend between a type of Shuzan and a type of Necret in a way, right? That single target block damage. It's kind of nifty. Who's also bringing turn meter, increase attack, resetting your skills, bringing you block damage. It's an intriguing one. Yeah, so again, we can come in here and we can reset the Rhonda. We could reset a Reviver. We can reset whatever the heck we want. And that can potentially be really good. I think for live arena, it could actually be really good. And the pity is that there's just very few high elves to slap with her. Very few, which is a bummer. You could bring in, I'd say, like, Ethos is probably the best, and he's not great. Supreme Malhane is okay as well, but there's nothing top tier there. Definitely, this guy is the top tier. He's got a full revive. He's got a cleanse and a heal and turn meter boost. So that's a nice synergy. He's got more turn meter boost there. He's tanky. He can then even swap over into Form 2. And he can start doing, stuns. He can start stripping block active skills. He can do more turn meter. She can be resetting him if we need to. Like, that's a really strong combo. So, yeah, I think that's quite interesting. All right, guys, so there we go. What are my thoughts on Fyna? Is she a cool champion to get? For me, I'll say this. I think she's way cooler than Aislinn, the Stalwart. I think she's way cooler than the first guy. Like, he was cool. He's like, I'm a really good protector. And that's nice, and it fits the Bannerlord theme. I think they've done an amazing job for her as a high elf faction unity champion. I think she captures the high elf theme of like lots of turn meter, kind of lots of buffs, lots of sort of tricksy stuff. She's pretty complex. I think that fits sort of the high elf identity really, really well. Like I said, her biggest problem is the high elf faction is just kind of a bit weak. But I think her skill set is really cool. This move is absolutely bananas. This is a solid move to bring as well. The faction unity stuff is, I think, all really interesting too. Like I said, it's hard to measure her value because all this turn meter benefit, the ignore defense benefit, it doesn't have that immediately noticeable impact, but it can really add up to being very effective. Like, how do we easily measure the benefit of the ally attack counterattack? Like, if she does it on herself, that's tough to measure. And again, there's all these questions about how do we build her? Do we build her just like super tanky, maybe in Stone Skin or something for arena and have her just boosting up her damage dealer? Do we have her in protection for the even more damage? That's probably the way to go. This in protection and really fast and just cycling through this stuff and turn meter boosting like crazy and throwing. Yeah, she's fun. I think she's a really interesting champion. I think she's super cool. It's hard to say as well because she is so complicated. I think it's hard to say how strong she is, but I think she's really interesting. I'd be My concern would be that, she's not as good as like Shuzan, etc. in Arena. That, she's cool in Hydra, but maybe just not as good because of the faction limitations. The faction stuff is really her most powerful stuff for Hydra. Maybe she's not as good there without that. So I don't know. Will she actually be strong? I don't know for sure, but this is a champion to watch with interest. I'll be very curious what you guys will do with her when you get your hands on her. Yeah, look, there you are. I mean, I don't recommend whaling out really for any of the summon pool events. They kind of suck. But yeah, look, I think just stay tuned. There's going to be some Kraken out there who's got Star Sage Galathir and it's going to go nuts for Fyna. I think that's where things start to get really spicy. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Goodbye.